directly. Hi, this is Make a Geek and I'm Dan. I thought I was done with videos about my workzone bandsaw after I finished making my vertical stand for it, but there's one thing that has come up in use, and a quick view through all the various comments on reviews of this tool shows it's a pretty common complaint, which is the vise on the stand it comes with is pretty rubbish. So the theory of this vise is that you put your material in the jaws, bring up the clamping face, and then pull this lever back to tighten it down. Nice, quick, simple, and completely rubbish. So today I'm going to take this apart, see if there's anything to be done with it, see if we can fix it, and if not, maybe replace it. It's worth noting that in the manual it says here, and I quote, "Position the workpiece as desired and secure it in place using the stand vise or another vise." I think that when you put in the instructions that people might want to use another vise, it's probably a tacit sort of acceptance that you know your vise is rubbish. Anyway, let's get it off the base, take a look, see if there's anything we can do. Looking inside, this is... I don't even know what to say about this design. I'm not sure how this is even supposed to work. Like, so this handle is on it has like a little cam, there's a little bar in there that travels maybe 10 mil max back and forth, and it obviously pushes this big metal plate against a spring. But it's not really clear what that is supposed to do. If there was a pivot point at the bottom, I would think that you were pushing it like this and it was kind of clamping up, tightening up on that shaft. But there doesn't appear to be a pivot point at the bottom, so the plate is just being pushed backwards and forwards like that, which seems completely pointless. I don't get it, basically. So I'm going to take this to pieces and see if there's anything to be salvaged, but at this point I'm thinking maybe better off with a new vise. So I think to get it apart, there's a nut in this end that the handle is just screwed into. I was going to say I might need to hold the nut still, but it seems like I can just about do that. Okay, so that is that. So now I see so there is this screw on the back face which does relate to a screw that pushed through against the bottom of this. I guess maybe the implication is that we're supposed to hold it. I think that's screwed as far as it's going to go, really. There's not much more travel in that. That is not enough to create the pivot force that I think this thing would require. So fundamentally, this is just loose on this shaft. Like, even I mean, I guess if you can hold it at an angle, you get a little bit of a hold force. But even then, all you're really doing is holding it at whatever clamping force you're able to press with your hand. You're not really, I think, materially adding any force. A bunch of bits, and I need to think about how to rectify that into something. Plan B is to take this vise that used to be on my drill, which got removed when I got the cross vise for the drill, and just bolt that to this surface. It would require a little bit of extra menangling, a little extra fiddling because it's a little bit wide, but fundamentally bolt a different vise on, that'll work great. But I'm quite keen to try to do something with the vise it comes with, so I have an idea. And that idea is this. There's a screw that goes there's a threaded hole that comes in through the back here. It holds this like grub screw backed thing. I assume this was to try and hold the metal plate in place somehow as part of the pivot mechanism. I had a bit of a play with it to see if there was anything there that would make it actually work properly, but I couldn't figure that out. So what I'm thinking is reuse that hole with a longer bolt and literally just grind some notches into the shaft here at specific places. So I don't necessarily need this vise to clamp anything because I'm gonna be cutting box section. I might be cutting some flat stock. I might cut something slightly larger, but they're pretty much going to be standard sizes. So my theory is put the shaft in place at places where I know I'm going to have thicknesses, mark where this intersects the shaft, grind a little wedge shape out of the shaft so that this has something to key against, and just see whether tightening this down against that flat is enough to both give it a little bit more squeeze, because I do want it to clamp a bit harder, and hold it in place. I'm pretty confident it will clamp it in place much better than the existing cam mechanism, but I don't know whether it will add a little bit more pressure on the squeeze. But the only way to find out is to try. I've already marked point 1. We're going to cut it with the bandsaw. Let's give that a go. It's kind of difficult to see what's going on with the screw and the shaft because it's sort of happening right on the top here. So I'm just going to drill a quick hole in the top just so I can kind of see it a little easier. I think that'll make life better in the long run. Okay, so here we have the final piece. I put a little notch right at the top here just so I can keep myself oriented for where these are once they're inside, but basically same deal, but now we tighten this down and that's enough to really give ourselves some clamping force. That's basically it, and it's probably all I'm going to do for now. I've given myself 2 notches, one for the 25mm square section and one for, what is that, like 3mm flat stock. As I come to cut more things, I can always just grind additional notches for those locations. Now it's not quite as versatile as a full screw, obviously, because I'm going to have chunks where it's probably going to be quite difficult to clamp. But you know what, I think it's turned from essentially useless as a clamp into something that I can actually use. So for now we'll leave this in place. It's quite a simple modification. You don't even have to have a vertical stand for your bandsaw to do it. Just cutting a couple of notches, reusing this screw thing, throw away the cam mechanism, and that's a lot better. So hopefully that's useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.